Welcome everybody, Red Arrow 23 here, time for another edition to the Boom Beach Playbook. Today we're going to be looking at going up the right side of the core on Rogue. Let's boom this beach! So today, Two Touch is going to show us how to do it. So we're just going to have a quick look all the way through the hit, and then we're going to break it down. So let's have a look. He's got some grenadiers out, clearing some mines. And then we're just waiting for time. Obviously having greens out is just going to be a lot of time waiting for them to get out of the way, and then we can drop our Zookas, flare up to very specific spots on the map, and then check this out. This is a good party trick for you tricksters out there. Boom. Then he flares on up. Great attack. Great attack from Two Touch. There we go. And boom, boom, boom. Let's clear it out. Brat, brat, brat. There we go. So Two Touch with a great path, sorts out all of the mines, walks really close to a ton of mines. These are all, doesn't really matter what level they are, because if you're going to hit one, you're going to hit multiple, which means death. And then he's already starting on the core, the free snipe. Love it, right on the edge of the ranges of the cannons on either side, and just gets it going. So great hit from Two Touch. Let's pull it apart. He does have another example in the log of this hit, so we'll have another look at this one, and then we'll go and have a look at the other one, see if there are any differences. So you can see this took the full 4 minutes because he obviously leant into a free snipe at the end. He's going to be dropping these grenadiers. You can drop them on the right also. Just note where there is more GBE and where the greens are going to start coming into range of defenses. This is probably a lower health Rogue, just because of the force points. Yeah, you can see it's got a really low health bonus, so it's not going to take that long for all these power cells to go down. But in a higher health base, these power cells will take ages to drop to a green. You are going to need a little bit more GPE, so that's why you're going to be dropping these greens. They're going to gather us up a few cells. And then it's the mine clearing that's going to be really important. So he's cleared the mines and tagged the rocket launcher, which is critical. The mine clearing was a bit more of a bonus to clearing the rocket launchers. But as they do come around this corner, it does help to have a few of those mines cleared. And then all he's clearing are the ones in between the shield generator and the defenses around. So they're boom, boom, gone. And then we're looking at these mines with a barrage, and we're looking at basically just taking out the two rows just past here, in between this mine and this mine. There were sort of two rows where the cannons are, so it's going to really help us out for that path. So those are the mines that we need clear. As you can see, there's a nice little gap there, and he has cleared a couple more up by the rocket launchers, and that's going to really, without these greens, we wouldn't have the GBE to do all of that and all the smokes and everything else that we want to do once we get up there. So you definitely need to be dropping those greens at the beginning. You see that he's only cleared 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 cells, and he's got 3 minutes on the clock when he heads on up there now. Usually time isn't an issue on this hit as long as you have enough time to get up there and do whatever clearing you're going to do. Once you get your free sniping on, it is what it is. Obviously the more time the better, because the more damage you're going to do on the shields. You might be able to get this in 2 hits. If you're a psycho, you might be able to get it in 1. For some reason the health might be different, or the defenses that you need to clear are different. So here we go, we got a flare landing. Before you get over too far into the rocket launcher range, you can flare up. But you definitely need to be smoking that rocket launcher range as soon as you are there. Dropping Sparky in behind. The timing of dropping Sparky, you'll see that Sparky came in from behind, and then once we get to this flare spot, he's already flared the next spot. The flare's about to land. Where is the flare? I believe it's in the air. There you go. So the flare just landed, and the Zookas hadn't actually arrived yet, neither had Sparky. So you can see that Sparky's sort of in the middle of the pack right now. The timing of that flare is very important, because you need Sparky to be a certain amount ahead when they get to the next flare. That next flare is going to be behind, if you imagine behind the cannon there's 3 cells, so 1, 2, 3, if we use those mines as an example, 1, 2, 3. That cannon is 3 cells across, and it's in behind the cannon in the left cell. And that is going to be critical just for the path that they're going to be taking. You're going to be splitting these cannons, but we're not. When we split these cannons, it's not going to take out your Zookas, and other troops aren't going to be taking out any of these mines. You are going to be brushing past here, so that's why we cleared those mines out. And you can see the Zookas are going to get nice and tight. They're not going to clear those mines on the left. And then this is the very, very tricky part. So you see that Sparky has got quite a decent way ahead of all the Zookas now. You can make your smoke a little bit further up, but if you have the delay, your Sparky will survive for a little bit longer. It's obviously a little bit safer if you have the smoke a little bit further up, because Sparky will walk to the flare first, even if you've already hit UR now, and then once she gets to that spot, then she's looking for something to universally remote. Then it's going to be the closest damage defense. That's why we haven't used a barrage up here or anything. We want the rocket launcher to definitely be what she's going to target. And then you see as she comes out, she's going to take a little bit of fire, and then she's going to hit that universal remote as soon as she reaches that flare. And then you want to get that re-smoke down before the Zookas arrive. So that one was a little bit late, but he got away with it. Worked out really well. Also be aware that anything like this shock launcher that's going to be targeting the universally remoted defense can potentially splash damage you. So that shock launcher fired, I don't think it got any Zookas, and we can have another look in the replay. And then as soon as we have done our re-smoke, it will be time to flare up into the gap behind the rocket launcher, smoke up. So smoke, and then another smoke. You only need to do a single smoke at the top because the Zookas sit really nice and tight around those defenses. He used critters just to clear the extra mines before the Zookas got in range, in splash mine range, and then he's just sitting putting down his shocks, clearing out defenses around the core, and then you can see he's got a nice little hidey spot right at the top, and he can just hammer the core for a full minute. Can't really use critters from here because the cannons will just pick them off and these machine guns will start to fire. So it's a great hit from 2 touch. Let's have another look before we flick over to the other example. So here we go. Dropping the greens off to start, and we'll be clearing these mines with 1 artillery, and then dropping these 2. And when you're doing that, if there are any defenses, like say this Doom Cannon was a rocket launcher, you don't want to tag it. You can, just in case for some freak reason, when you're clearing these mines, you don't want to tag the rocket launcher because the universal remote might be in range. It's not so biased towards the shield because you can't hack a shield. It's not really a big deal right here, and it's probably not in range anyway. And then we got the barrage down low, works out really well. So we've got that hole that we can use for our path, and then he's just clearing an extra mine just up there just in case we do get stuck on the spread on the corner. And then let's have a look. We're going to do a nice flare landing, and then let's look at the timing. So he flares up, and then as the Zookas are sort of 3/4 of the way up the beach, he's already dropped his smoke, and then he's dropping a Sparky in behind. So the timing isn't like super critical. It doesn't have to be right as they're 3/4 of the way up the beach, but you flare up, You drop your smoke, and then you drop your Sparky, and then that should work out, the timing should work out nicely. Even if you do wait, once they do get to that flare, they should group up a little bit, and then you can do your next flare. So that flare's already gone, and now you can see that Sparky's starting to get ahead of the pack of Zookas. And you can hit your universal remote anytime around now, so you don't need to wait until she goes out of the smoke. And then boom, and then re-smoke. See, that splash damage did hit the Zookas, that's why they're lower on health. That doesn't make sense because they didn't get shocked. Could have been a mine, I'm not sure. Something damaged them, but didn't stop them from moving. And then they got up there, he used his shocks to shock everything, and then he just cleared out. So great hit from 2Touch. Let's flick over to the other example we had. He did another one that was 4 days ago. He did another one that was a day ago. So let's have a look at that one. So a 227 map, a little bit higher health. Oh. So this one's got 200% more health. And he's dropping greens on the right side as well as the left. There's no lasers up the front here, so it's sort of helping him out. He's cleared those mines and he's tagged the rocket launcher. Let's have a look. Using that barrage down low, gets all of those mines in those 2 rows, so it's worked out well. Hasn't cleared any bonus mines up the top like we did last time. And then he's probably, oh, so he has cleared them again there. Alright, so let's have a look. Got 2 minutes on the clock right now. You usually need about 1:30 to get up there and do everything that you need to do. It does take a little while to get up there. So here we go, greens, 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 and then the rocket launcher start getting in range. And then he can just do his flare landing. You see that the flare landing, he did fire over enough that the boom cannon was in range to destroy those grenadiers. And now they're sort of giving you a little bit of protection. So see, that time the Zookas were a lot further up than Sparky was. They were just sort of crossing that yellow line as Sparky was dropped, and the timing should still work out. So here we go, smokes go up. Might even wait for the Zookas. Nope, so he's flared ahead. Sparky's still behind, but she's going to get there before because she's faster. So here we go, we move on up. So see, this time the smoke was a lot closer to that flare, so he might be able to recover Sparky this time, which should work out really well. So he's already hit universal remote. As soon as Sparky comes out, she's going to be universal remoting, and then the smoke should be coming in as soon as possible. And boom. So Sparky doesn't need to necessarily survive here, and she didn't. And that worked out fine. The splash damage from the shock launcher did clip a couple of his girls. That rocket launcher is always going to go down because there's normally doom cannons here and a bunch of cannons here, so it's always going to go down. There's always enough damage around. But that re-smoke was a lot tidier this time, getting those Zookas covered before he then flared up and got another couple of smokes. Once he gets up to that final spot, just using 1, 2, 3 shocks, and he's just clearing out. So it doesn't quite have as many Zookas just because of the splash from the shock launcher, but that's okay. And then you can move across. Unfortunately ran out of GBE there, but the time was sort of running out as well. So you see, it's a very technical, very tough hit. The main point is that last, I'd say, is that last smoke before Sparky comes out. You could always bring all of your troops up to that 3 o'clock position and then just flash UR. So what I mean by that is, instead of coming out of the smoke and then re-smoking, you could get everything under that smoke, wait for the smoke to expire, and then immediately re-smoke. Costs you an extra smoke just for pure space wise. And it's still pretty tricky timing, so I'd suggest coming out of it, getting that universal remote off, relay the smoke, re-flare. So that's going to be it for this video. Quite a long one for this one's quite a few things to talk about. So that's going to be it for today. Be sure to give us a comment down below if you take Rogue out any differently. We have a few options to us now. We go right path, we go left, straight up to the left side, and now we go straight up to the right side. We've been loving this hit, used it in the last few times Rogue has come up, so it's been working out really well for us. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and subscribe for more Boom Beach. Yeah.